freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 274 of Gun Freedom Radio, where we engage, we educate, and we inform. We are brought to you by azfirearms.com, your nationwide hometown gun shop. I am one of your hosts, Cheryl Todd.
And I'm the other guy, Dan Todd. The theme today is the Second Amendment Foundation, and our guest is Alan Gottlieb. Alan is the founder of the Second Amendment Foundation, SAF, and the SAF is dedicated to promoting a better understanding about our constitutional heritage to privately own and possess firearms. Alan is also the author and co-author of numerous books, including Things You Can Do to Defend Your Gun Rights and Assault on Weapons, the campaign to eliminate your guns. Welcome to the show, Alan. How are you doing today?
Great, thank you. It's really good to be with you guys.
Absolutely. Well, holy cow, since we talked to you last, so much has happened. We've gone through all of the lead up to an election. We were sitting in the studio on Monday, January 18th, so we haven't quite come up to the inauguration day yet, but we pretty much see how all that panned out. And looks like we are going to have either a Biden-Harris administration or maybe a Harris-Biden administration. I keep hearing them say it both ways, but that's how it looks like it is panned out. And, you sit in a unique position where you know the history of the conversation that we've had in this nation about firearms and our rights. And I think you can kind of forecast a little bit better than the average person about what this new administration is going to bring. What do you see on the horizon for us?
I see a very heavy storm coming for gun rights. This administration is telegraphed all through their campaign and through their, long record of service in government that they don't support Second Amendment rights at all. That they're out to do anything they can to make it next to impossible to own or use a firearm for legitimate, lawful purposes. From gun bans to gun taxes to anything you can think of in between. It's going to be a very tough 2 years for sure, at a minimum, 4 years at maximum, for gun owners to protect their rights from the federal government infringing on those.
Well, Alan, with that bad news, what can we do as average citizens to maybe help with that?
Well, there is no doubt that we've got to be, like your show, you talk about how you educate and inform. Gun owners need to be educated and informed. Gun Freedom Radio is one great way to get that information. And join various gun groups, both national, state, and local. Get engaged. Make sure your elected officials, feel the heat and feel the pressure. We've got to really work very, very hard. To be honest about it, our opponents control the White House, the Senate, the House of Representatives, the media, and the big tech oligarchs, and the billionaires like Michael Bloomberg. All that is the perfect storm going after our gun rights. We have to band together, work together, and be on the same page to fight this common battle.
Boy, I couldn't have said that better myself. And, your organization, the Second Amendment Foundation, you are a national organization, but you do go into states and you help support our gun rights through litigation and taking up court cases where you have a defendant that the local laws in that state or regulations have infringed on their rights. And so even though you're a national organization, you really are a local organization as well.
Yeah, the laws in court that we attack aren't just federal laws. They're also state and local laws as well. This opened up, Cheryl, when the Second Amendment Foundation won the Supreme Court case with McDonald versus Chicago and knocked out Chicago's gun ban. It also incorporated the 14th Amendment through the incorporated the Second Amendment through the 14th Amendment to all 50 states and localities. That allowed us to bring suits in federal court against state and local governments as well. Right now, we're engaged in over 40 active lawsuits, and about 80% of the case law that's been won supporting Second Amendment rights in our courts have been won by the Second Amendment Foundation and or our attorneys. So we have built the foundation for litigation, not just for the Second Amendment Foundation, but for other gun groups and individuals as well.
Absolutely. Did you say 40, as in 40 active lawsuits?
40. It may be a little over 45 now. It's really, it's amazing. We are actually in litigation with more cases than most law firms are at any given time. It's really gotten to be an amazing mushroom cloud out there to try and attack the anti-gunners with all the laws that they've been passing. And we also have another program we really work on very heavily, where we don't necessarily sue, but we write local governments and threaten to sue. And as a result, we have taken over 500 laws off the books without even having to go to court in various states across the country. And that's been very, it doesn't make a lot of press because we get them withdrawn without having to go to court and making a lot of news about it. But there's over 500 laws we've had removed from state and local ordinances.
Well, we have a constitution, United States Constitution, and then a lot of people, I guess, aren't aware that we also have state constitutions, and there is a lot of states that are not abiding by their own constitutions. And so you step in and say, hey, this law is against your own constitution, right? And remove it. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, that's definitely true. Sometimes when we file our suits, they're not just under Second Amendment protections, they're under First Amendment protections as well. Example, our defense distributed case with 3D guns being allowed to put plans on the internet so that people can learn about firearms and make their own firearms. It's a First Amendment right to be able to communicate that information. And when the governments try to shut us down, we've gone to court to stop that as well.
Absolutely. So important. So the SAF just over this past weekend, I believe it was, sent out a press release about yet another lawsuit that you're taking up against the BATFE, which most people would just know as the ATF, right? The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, concerning the arm brace issue and having to do with how the ATF wants to do away with these arm brace. It impacts APA laws and violates some of these APA regulations. Can you elaborate on that for us?
Yeah. The APA is the American Procedures Act. And let me, if I can, I've got some notes on my screen here because I like to be a little bit accurate about this as well.
Sure.
So if I look a little bit off to the side a bit to check my notes, you'll understand why. But as you guys know, that arm braces were really developed to help disabled and shooters to be able to shoot accurately and safely. And now they're used by lots and lots of people as well. In fact, over 2 million people own these arm braces now. And ATF, they have this policy where they issue these private letter rulings, so to speak. And so if one person can get a private letter ruling saying that it's okay to use an arm brace, or this arm brace is legal on this type of gun, and then somebody else will get a letter that says the exact opposite. And these are private letters. They're not published. They're not on ATF's website. No one knows about them. It's very confusing. And over the years, they've issued various different letters saying different things. And of course, quite frankly, they don't really have the right to make laws. Only Congress can make laws. When they issue these rulings like this, they're really technically not complying with the laws of Congress, and they're basically illegal and don't really have much clout. But in 2020, in December, a little over a month ago, they put out for public comment one of their positions they put out in private ruling letters to say that basically the arm braces, if you put them on a firearm, it becomes an NFA weapon, National Firearms Act, $200 excise tax. If you don't do it, you can go to jail. You're committing a felony. And they put it out for comment. Over 70,000 people commented. Almost every comment was negative to this. And a lot of us work with the Justice Department to try to get the Justice Department to back ATF down, because it was not legal for them to even do this under the American Procedures Act, which we just talked about, because you have to give 60 days notice, and they gave approximately 17 days total notice for the comment period, which included Hanukkah and Christmas and New Year's, making it difficult for people to even comment. The Justice Department temporarily backed them down, and they had to withdraw it. However, the head of the ATF, and this is what part of our suit's about, we're suing her as well. She's an acting director, holdover from the Obama administration. President Trump wanted to get rid of her, wasn't able to get a permanent director confirmed by the Senate, so she got to just hang around and be there. She's interviewing, so to speak, with the Biden transition team, trying to become the permanent director, and worked with them to put this public comment thing in place to try and change the regulations without congressional approval. So we filed suit because we know the Obama administration basically sort of shot across the bow of their new ship of state. We know they're going to try to use executive orders and administrative actions to further their gun control agenda, because they've telegraphed that and they've told us that it's on Biden's own website. And so we filed suit to try and back ATF off and back the Biden administration off. We've gone to court to ask basically that they have to comply with APA to declare that a court order that they've been in violation of the law. And we have a number of plaintiffs in this. Rainier Arms here in Washington State is one of our plaintiffs, and we have two individual plaintiffs that are both disabled. One of them is an Iraqi and Afghanistan war veteran that's had 3 limbs amputated and needs a brace to be able to shoot. Another one is a police officer that was injured in the line of duty and needs a brace to be able to shoot and maybe keep his employment, along with the Second Amendment Foundation. So we have filed suit basically to shut this down, to get what ATF didn't trying to do in the future declared illegal, and get an injunction against it, and hopefully protect those 2 million gun owners out there, aside from all of our Second Amendment Foundation members who are obviously become plaintiffs when we sue from the foundation, protect their rights to own the arm braces. These are commonly owned, a firearm accessory, and the Supreme Court has already talked about commonly owned firearms and therefore being protected by the Second Amendment, and therefore accessories to those firearms should be protected as well. And we're in federal court, and this is a very exciting case for us because it basically puts Biden and Harris on notice that they try these executive orders and administrative actions, and we're going to be right there in court suing when they cross the line.
That's fantastic. And it's so needed because it seems like the side that is for our Constitution, it's for our rights, we tend to be the kind of live and let live mindset. And so we're not out there being rabble rousers and trying to force everybody else to think like we do. And that's been working against us year after year after year. And so to have an organization that we can be members of, that we can support with our dollars, like the Second Amendment Foundation, out there, with your ear to the ground, watching for these opportunities and pushing back, is so important. I'm just so glad that you're out there doing that on our behalf.
Well, also, we really do have to be careful because the ATF is now starting a deal about the 80% receivers. And what's next? 50% receiver, 20% receiver, before a piece of metal can become a receiver.
Yeah, that pipe looks like it could be made into the barrel of a gun. So therefore, we have to regulate that now, right?
Yeah, and we know the Biden-Harris administration is going to be pushing ATF in that direction, but they can't get passed by Congress. They're going to try to get their administrative agencies to make rulings like this that infringe on Second Amendment rights. So we're going to be there in court probably an awful lot in the next 2 to 4 years.
Absolutely.
So Alan, we know that there's the Democrats have the majority on all the House and the Senate. What are their chances of getting some stupid laws through? Isn't there some Democrats that are for guns, and are they still going to have a battle?
Well, there are in the United States Senate, as an example, which is the place to stop it, because in the House it's going to be a lot more difficult with Nancy Pelosi having more control. With the Senate being 50-50 Democrat Republican and the vice president casting the tie-breaking vote, gives them a slight edge there. There are maybe 3 senators who are Democrats, maybe 4, but I'm going to say 3, that won't go along with everything in the Biden anti-gun rights agenda, but will go along with most of it. The problem is you also have 3 or 4 Republicans that probably would go along with Biden. So this is nip and tuck. I mean, some of these votes are going to be won and lost by one vote. And that's why it's important for all your listeners and viewers to stay engaged.
Absolutely. So, speaking about staying engaged and trying to communicate with one another and with our elected officials and with the public in general, eh, everyone knows that we're having a harder and harder time with getting our messages out because, the big platforms, the social media platforms are demonetizing people and muting people and putting people in what we're calling, social media jail and deactivating their accounts. And it really is getting harder and harder, which I think is an interesting thing that the Second Amendment Foundation have just hired a new media marketing manager, a name that maybe some of us are familiar with, Mr. Brad Parscale. And I'm seeing your advertisements appearing on even prime time television. And I just wonder, what do you expect with someone like Brad working with the Second Amendment Foundation, since he seems to really understand how social media can best be used, even understanding there's algorithms out there that are, working against our messages?
Well, before I actually answer that question, I want to add to what you said, talking about social media going after, the gun rights movement. We just had in the last week or so, the Virginia Citizens Defense League, just before their major state rally, the state capitol, their email service provider, MailChimp, took down their account because they, quote unquote, are too high risk an organization to be able to, have MailChimp. And then we've also seen this past week, the AR15.com website taken down by Amazon Web Services. Luckily, they're back up with another provider right now. But these are the kind of things that we're facing. Luckily for the foundation, Brad Parscale, committed to come to work for us, and his whole agency and all his staff will be doing all our social media for the Second Amendment Foundation. And when it comes to the algorithms that you just mentioned and things like that, Brad is really familiar with how they all work. For those of you listeners who don't know who Brad is, he was the one who had the whole digital stuff put together for the Trump campaign, turned out all those tens and 20,000, 40,000 people at all the Trump rallies nationwide, and all the digital advertising and social media stuff was, he did. He's a genius at this stuff, and I'm really proud that that he's picked us to have as a client, so to speak, and working with us to further this. I'm hoping that it helps double the size of the Second Amendment Foundation in the next year, and it's really, really important to our efforts. And then you also mentioned the TV spots. We started running them last week. We ran 40 last week, and we're running a slew of them this week. So I think we're in total, it's like 119 national TV spots we're running over a 2-week period to welcome Biden to the White House, so to speak, to help organize gun owners for our Second Amendment first responder program, where we ask them to text Protect 2A to 474747. They get immediate text back with a link to go to our website and sign up to become a Second Amendment first responder, to get engaged, involved, educated, and work to help protect their gun rights. So we're trying to create this massive public swell against what Biden and Harris are attempting to do, along with Schumer and Pelosi, I guess you could say. So we're hoping to help grow the Second Amendment family and the gun rights movement, and help to get these people then plugged into local and state groups as well. And so far, it's working very, very well. Like I said, we ran 40 spots last week, and we're running, I think it's, like 79 spots this week. So we're really increasing the volume because they worked very well last week. And I'm really kind of excited about it because it puts us on national television.
Absolutely. And, when you are talking about that groundswell and talking about, building not only the attention, but the focus on the issues at hand, there are 8.5, I think now, 8.5 million brand new first time gun owners across the nation, just in the past year. And just because somebody happened to buy a gun, it doesn't mean they instantly are tapped into their constitutional rights and their Bill of Rights. And they may not even be aware of how strong of a push there is against owning the thing that they just legally bought. So I think that having, Brad out there with the social media, and you guys have with your commercials on prime time, you help people to be better tapped in and informed. Are you doing anything that's specifically focused towards welcoming in the people that have just become gun owners?
Well, we're really trying, because first of all, we have to find them, and the social media is going to help find them, and so are our national TV spots that we're running. That's part of trying to reach those people. A lot of them have reached out to us as well, and of course we obviously welcome them. But we get these stories about, gee whiz, I went and bought my first gun, and I was told it was easier to buy a gun than a loaf of bread at my supermarket. Boy, is that not true! I had to wait 2 weeks to get my gun in my state. I had to go through these enhanced background checks. I had all these roadblocks in my way before I could pick up the gun. I mean, it's like they're learning that there already are an awful lot of restrictions. And a lot of people don't realize in our country, there are over 20,000 gun laws that regulate the private ownership, use, and possession of firearms. And now they want to even put more in place. A lot of these first-time gun owners are realizing that there is a fight on their hands to keep the piece of property they just bought. And our problem is finding them and then educating them and getting them engaged and involved in protecting their political and constitutional and civil rights.
Even in Arizona, which they treat most people like adults, people that bought guns were delayed because of the NICS check being down because of overuse or whatever their reasons were. And these people say, well, how come I thought it's supposed to be easy to buy a gun? And our comment to them is, you need to think about that next time you vote.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the things we have here is that with the NICS system, first of all, there's an awful lot of people that try to buy a gun and there are at least false positives where they get denied as a prohibited person when they're really not. The database is so ugly, old, and disgusting and messed up that it really needs to be fixed up a whole lot before you can even really use it effectively. And likewise, there's a lot of people that should be in the database who committed violent crimes that are not. So this whole concept doesn't really work very well, and it really needs to really be fixed from the ground up. But one of the problems we have is, as you mentioned, especially with all the new gun buyers, the volume of gun sales has really increased. It's taxed system that's overworked to begin with, and it doesn't work that well, and the delays become astronomical. When your life is being threatened and you need to have a gun to protect yourself or your family, a right delayed is a right denied. And so there's a lot of problems here. Unfortunately for us, Biden and Harris know that by screwing up the system, if the system doesn't work, nobody can buy the gun under all these laws. So what happens is they're able to shut down, gun sales completely by messing up the system with us. And unfortunately, the government controls the system. That's one of the dangers of these laws that come in place. If the system isn't workable, if the system is down, you shouldn't be penalized. The government should.
Right.
And we have an administration that wants to put those systems down to penalize us. These are the kind of ways they can get at us without even passing a law.
Absolutely.
Right. And I suspect that happens. They just say, you know what, let's just shut it down for whatever, name the reason.
Maintenance.
And then they shut it down and a person can't buy a gun. And, they may want to go hunting. They may want it for defense. There's so many things. And it's very disappointing. And you look at it and say, well, okay, there goes our sales today because the government decided they don't want us to be able to sell guns today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're also getting complaints from people that get falsely denied. And when they go to appeal it, sometimes now it's taking 9 months.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. This is unconscionable. But these are the kind of roadblocks that the government can put in our way.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I agree, Alan. If they're going to make some kind of system, they need to have a system. Hey, if we can't provide you with this service, then we cannot deny you the sale of that firearm.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it should be. And then if it is a felon, then it's their duty and their job to go and take care of that.
Correct.
But we have seen people that have bought guns from us that were felons. They were approved by the government. They were felons. And then the ATF had to come in and do something about it.
Well, one of the side things I'm just going to bring up is it's a little sidecar on this, but Hunter Biden, the president's incoming president's son, bought a handgun that he had left in his car that his I guess sister-in-law picked up, and it turns out, quite honestly, that Biden, to get that gun, would have had to lie on his 4473 form because he's a cocaine user, and therefore shouldn't have been able to purchase the gun. But you don't notice anybody going to arrest Hunter Biden for breaking gun laws, do you?
No,
Right.
it's so
They're above the law.
yeah. They throw things out there to try to throw mud on good, honest American citizens, and then they turn a blind eye to the people that they choose to turn a blind eye to. So education is so important to know our rights, to know how to enact our rights, to know what to do if our rights get infringed in any way. And one of the so important things that the Second Amendment Foundation does is you do help to educate citizens on how to learn these things and then express their advocacy. So between your gun rights policy conference, that's held every single year, even if we have to do it virtually, right?
Right.
And the webinars that you guys hold, these things are valuable and so needed right now. Can you tell us a little bit more, elaborate on what those opportunities are for people?
Well, you mentioned, we'll start with the Gun Rights Policy Conference, which is our large national conference, and may now stay a virtual conference online, because we had so much more participation and we were able to have so many more speakers that way from all across the globe, and brought in a lot of international people as well. So that's our big flagship conference. We have other conferences. You mentioned things on a webinar. We also have state leadership training conferences, and we're looking at putting a gun rights leadership conference together as well, where that be much smaller than the Gun Rights Policy Conference, which just bring in like a couple, 200 key leaders in the gun rights movement to network. Because one of the things by going virtual, the Gun Rights Policy Conference, is we don't get to network, and networking is really, really important. We're also going to be running this year a Legal Scholars Conference that's going to bring together 50 to 70 key attorneys that are working and law professors that are working on Second Amendment issues, not just in our courts, but law review articles, popular culture magazine articles, and a lot of research on Second Amendment issues and rights. We're going to bring them together for a conference as well as part of our educational opportunities. And we're going to have a lot of things once the COVID stuff goes away. We'll be doing a lot of state, and particularly all the battleground states for gun rights. We're going to be doing leadership training conferences in those states, just based on what's happening in that particular state, to help educate and train our gun rights leaders.
Boy, that's so important, because we almost always have our eye cast at the federal level, right? Who's going to be the president? Who's going to be our the senators and Congress people, which of course do come from our state, but very seldom do I think we really focus on what's happening in each individual state. And that is so important, because what happens over in California very quickly starts bleeding over as people migrate and move to new places. And
Ew.
huh?
Ew.
Yeah, ew.
Well, it's not just that, Cheryl. You have the fact that you've got anti-gun legislators watch what California does in their state, and then tries to duplicate it in their state. There's a lot of anti-gun groups out there that go from state to state, trying to pollinate what one state did into another state. Not that we don't do that for gun rights as well. We try to protect our gun rights the same way, but we have to realize the other side uses California, so to speak, as a test tube for a lot of their anti-gun legislation.
Alan, why don't people understand what the Constitution said? These people that have power, they don't even know what the Constitution is. I mean, it's irritating to me that they want to change the United States. Why don't they just move if they don't like it?
Well, that's why the Second Amendment is so important. And it's not just about gun rights, it's about freedom.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and I titled this show after your organization, because I just started thinking about, the foundation, right? I mean, you're a foundation, a 501c3, I believe.
Right.
But the foundation of our nation includes the Second Amendment. It's that important. It's that vital. And it's the only place in the entire Constitution or Bill of Rights where our founding fathers realized that there was going to be confusing debates come up, and people were going to actively try to introduce common sense legislation and all of this. If you're a mom, then you hate guns somehow. And so they're like, you know what? Let's just put in a clause that doesn't appear anywhere else, and it's shall not be infringed. It's like gun rights for dummies, right?
Right.
And so I do believe that our nation was founded on those principles. And I just wanted to use that little play on words. But to that end, where we're trying to articulate to others what we believe, what our values are, articulate to others what's in our founding documents, and build community and network together, you are going to be one of our speakers at the 2021 Celebrate and Protect Our Second Amendment Rights event rally, if you would, on Saturday, February 20th at the Arizona State Capitol from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Hopefully COVID won't get in our way, and hopefully some of this other, news out there that, well, we can't, people are clutching their pearls. We can't meet together because, some people might do bad things. What do you say about that? And why do you feel it's important for these kinds of gatherings of people that do value our rights?
Well, first, Cheryl, I want to thank you for helping put that rally together. I think these things are really, really important. First of all, it's a chance for gun rights activists to network. It's a place to get educated and informed. And it's a place to send the whole state a message that gun owners are active, organized, and are watching what their legislatures do. It's really very important. It gets a lot of media. It gets our voices out. It's something when you turn out the thousands of people that you turn out, it can't be ignored. It helps bolster the morale of gun owners all through the whole state when they see it on television. I think it's really, really important. I wish there was something like that was going on in every single state. You do an excellent job with it in Arizona. I was there last year to speak, and I was very, very impressed with the turnout. I have a feeling this year the turnout is going to be a lot bigger.
Well, thank you.
They said dozens were there last year.
Yeah, dozens.
Dozens.
Our 3,500 to 4,000 people that showed up, the news wanted to call dozens. But what are you going to do?
Yeah, but when they showed the picture, you could tell there was a lot more than dozens.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for the kind words. Our family businesses partner up with Writers USA each year to put this on. And it really is a celebration. It's a family-friendly event, and it's a wonderful gathering. And I really, really hope that we do get to end up having it live this year. If for some reason something comes up that we can't, I'm going to take a chapter out of your example with the Gun Rights Policy Conference and just hold it virtually, because it's too important. The people that we have lined up to speak, like yourself, subject matter experts, it is too important for people to hear what you have to offer, for us to let it go without being done in some way. And we've just lost your picture, but I think your phone probably rang or something. So hopefully you're still with us and can find your way back to, there you are.
I don't know why I lost, but I noticed it said the picture is blocked out. I didn't realize, so I just put it back on. I have no idea why I did that.
Well, you're back now, but anyway, and I so appreciate that you're going to take time to help us with that rally, whether it's live, I hope, fingers crossed, or whether we have to go virtual.
And of course, if you have to go virtual, yell, because our staff will help you from our experiences that we've had. We're more than happy to chip in with you.
Oh, that's a huge offer, and I'm going to hold you to it. So thank you for that. Alan, how can people continue to follow the work that you're doing and that the Second Amendment Foundation is doing, and how can they become members? I'm going to encourage every single person who hears the sound of my voice right now to become a member of the Second Amendment Foundation.
Well, the easiest way is to go to our website at saf.org, samalphafrank.org, or just put Second Amendment Foundation in your browser and our website will pop up. And join and donate, or get educated. Just go see what's going on the website. Particularly go to our news and releases section, because that talks about all of our lawsuits and everything else that's going on that we're engaged in. And you'll see all the kind of work that we're really doing that gets ignored by a lot of the liberal legacy media that's out there. And we welcome everybody. We don't discriminate against anybody joining us. Our membership is only $15. We try to keep it as low as possible to get as many people engaged and involved in the Second Amendment rights as we can. It's sort of like a family and a community. And so all your viewers, listeners are more than welcome to join with us.
You know, and I've
Fantastic.
been following the Second Amendment Foundation for many years now. Out of There's a couple of really good organizations. These are really, really good ones. And they,
Great.
you can see from the results, just go look on their website, the things that they've accomplished in the years. It's amazing. Alan, I'm so glad to know you and thank you very much for what you do.
Well, both are great people, great Americans. I'm really glad you got this show. And it's great to stand shoulder to shoulder with you in this battle. And it's really going to be a battle in the upcoming year. And I'm glad to partner with you. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Alan Gottlieb of the Second Amendment Foundation. Bye-bye. We'll
Right.
talk soon.
Wow.
All right. My goodness.
And I'm serious about that. I mean, look at the accomplishments that they've done. Well, they got 45 lawsuits going on
I
right
was
now
just gonna say that.
for the people that are taking away our Constitution rights, not just the Second Amendment.
It's
And they have 45 active lawsuits. They don't do that for
that
fun.
takes money. That
Yeah,
takes money.
yeah. And so,
And the supportive membership. And, full disclosure, we are lifetime members
Right.
because we believe in the work they do that much.
and $15, you say, well, $15 isn't going to help them much. It's not the $15. The $15 probably just pays for administration fees to get you signed up.
Mhm.
But it's the voice. Your membership is a voice.
Mhm.
So please.
Well, and they don't spam you. They send you important information, and keeps you from being led down the primrose path with some of this garbage that passes as air quotes news. And so with the Second Amendment Foundation, they're actually in the trenches. They're actually doing the litigation and the lawsuits. And so the information they give you is the actual thing that's happening,
Right.
not some hyped up, spin from one of the big news in air quotes organizations.
So if you own a firearm, you should be a member of the Second Amendment Foundation.
Even if you don't own a firearm,
If you're
you
thinking about
if
getting
you
one,
care about our rights, right? Because, the next generation, they're going to turn around and look at us someday and go, "What did you do?"
ew,
Right?
yeah,
Or not do that caused us to be so far away from what our founders intended. That the Constitution and the Bill of Rights are our inheritance. They were given to us. They were bought and paid for by people who fought, bled, starved, and died to secure these rights.
and they're still fighting and bleeding and dying.
Yeah. And so it was given to us free of charge. We didn't have to put that effort in. And if we don't understand that we are that bridge from one generation to the next generation, we don't get to sit on a sideline and not have an opinion and be, "Oh, I don't do politics." Well, the Second Amendment, the Constitution, our Bill of Rights, they are not political, but they have become political. And as the Second Amendment Foundation is doing with these 20,000 laws, let me say that into the microphone, 20,000 laws that are on the books about firearms, that they've been able to remove 500 of those. That's important because those laws go against shall not be infringed, right? It becomes a permission system.
Right.
So, boy, I got on a spin there, didn't I? Got on a little roll.
How come I didn't get to speak at the rally?
Because we are going to have booths set up with our
Oh,
businesses.
so that's what you saw. Oh, I see what you're saying. But all I want to do is go up there and say, gun law's bad.
Gun law's bad. Constitution good.
Good. Yeah,
Bill of
that's
Rights
it.
good.
Yeah, that's that's the point, right?
Yes.
It's
So true. But yeah, we're going to have booths set up for AZ Firearms, our gun shop, for Pot of Gold Estate Auctions, our auction house, for Gun Freedom
you gonna
Radio.
take the 105.
And they do, the organizers and the previous attendees have been asking and are hoping that you're going to bring the howitzer cannon out, the 105
Okay.
World War II cannon, because it makes a great selfie spot,
Yes.
right? So it's going to be a wonderful day. I really hope we get to hold it live. We've had so many events in the past. Has it been a year now that we've been dealing with COVID, or almost a
In
year?
a year.
So many events that have been either canceled or altered in such a way that they've had to go virtual. And it worries me now that trying to go virtual, we're just going to get silenced and banned and
Well,
shut
first of all,
down.
they tell you can't have a group organization.
Mhm.
Then they tell you you can't go virtual because you're a offensive, Facebook and all that stuff. So it is a way that they're going to, they're probably going to be some issues coming up.
So it does worry me, but try try to attend, and come with the right spirit. This is a fun and celebratory event, and it's always been that way. It's billed that way again this year. And if there's any way for you to come to the Capitol that day in that spirit, please come. And if we have to end up going virtual, we'll talk about it here on the show. Hopefully we'll still have a Facebook page that you can find information on, or worst case scenario, you can go to our website, which is gunfreedomradio.com. We'll figure out how to put a banner on there or something that keeps you informed. We also have the actual website to the rally is 2ND, Second Amendment Rally AZ.com. That's where you really can find all the information out on that rally and any changes that maybe have to be made. But we look forward to whatever it gets to be this year, because everything is different and we're rolling with the punches and we are pivoting where we have to pivot. And just excited that you guys are here with us today and listening to all of the episodes we have. And if you missed any episodes, what do, Dan?
You can binge listen to your heart's content on all of our website posts. Is
Okay,
that close enough?
close. He was super close. So you go to gunfreedomradio.com.
gunfreedomradio.com.
You click the on demand tab.
Click the on demand tab.
And then once you're there, you can
binge listen to your heart's content, darling.
And if you want to know more about any of our guests, you can click the guest tab and you will see photos and bios and links to all of their works. And it is a tremendous resource. And we don't hate it when you spend some time there. So please check all of those episodes and guests out. They are subject matter experts. They're people who are speaking.
Back up what they say.
Absolutely. They're not trying to spin you on anything. They're just saying, this is my work and this is what I've experienced in my work. What a refreshing voice, rather than hearing somebody who has zero expertise in,
The firearms are bad. Well, how come? Well, because my dad said they were.
Because they're bad.
They're bad.
Right?
That's bad.
Because the Biden-Harris administration told us they were.
Yeah, and they're just bad.
Yeah. So
we don't have those kind of guests on our show. Our people come up and say, firearms have saved, I don't know how many millions of lives over the years. And they can back it up. They can give you examples.
Absolutely. What is the figure? We used to say it every single week on the show, and I'm going to have to see it if we have an updated figure, but it was like 2.5 million times every single year.
These are backed up. These are exact facts from law enforcement and other organizations. It's not some stupid number that somebody made up.
2.5 million times each year, a life was saved because of firearms. Firearms were used 2.5 million times at least each year.
Could you imagine if Chicago would open up to responsible gun ownership and let people carry firearms, how low those numbers would go?
Yeah, just even the way you said that, let people carry firearms.
Right. Well,
that's that permissive system. That should instantly give you hives. If you've read your Constitution, your Bill of Rights, the words let them carry firearms should give you instant hives. And another figure, 200,000 times each year, a woman prevents sexual assault. Why? Because she was armed. Responsibly armed citizens save lives, protect lives. And we never get to hear that on the mainstream whatever you
almost-
want to call a media
This almost sounds
news
like it's the
networks.
criminals that are trying to outlaw guns to make their job easier.
That's what it sounds like to me,
I
honestly.
wonder about that.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've got to wrap up and get out of here. So thank you so much to our awesome guest today, Mr. Alan Gottlieb of the Second Amendment Foundation, which is protecting the foundation of
Our Second
the
Amendment.
Second Amendment.
That's clever.
See what I did there? I'll
Or
be
see
here
what they
all
did
week.
there. See
Tip,
what they did there.
tip your wait staff.
I think
That's
they-
true.
yeah,
Really,
they
they did it. Yeah, you're right. And, we say this each week, but I mean it more purposefully now than
What?
maybe ever before.
Danny empty the garbage?
Danny, Danny, would you please empty the garbage? No, that's not what I say on the air.
Oh,
What I say on the air is, please pray for our nation.
yes, she does say that.
Please pray for the people who have been put in a position of responsibility,
Without the word using
For-
leader.
protecting and defending our constitutional rights. Is that
Yes.
better than leaders?
It's hard because there are so many representatives out there that don't follow the Constitution, or they have a lot of but clauses
Mhm.
in the Constitution. And it's really a shame because
What's a
it's-
butt clause?
a but clause is I love firearms, but they
Mm,
shouldn't be allowed to have, but they shouldn't be able to do
Mhm.
this, but all guns should be registered. But this says shall not be infringed.
period.
Period. It's not except for,
Yeah.
in addition to,
Yeah.
it shall not be infringed. Why can't we find people who want to represent our country, us, that follow this? It's so easy. It's so simple. And it's like, to me, a person that follows this is accountable. They have, what was that word?
Integrity.
Integrity. Yes.
How about
And
that word?
So and it's like one of our, I think David Laird said, they base this off the Bible. The Constitution was based off the Bible. And, he's right. And we should follow that. And we should live by the Constitution, because if we do, we'll be good people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think David Laird, he's a trainer.
Yeah.
He's the owner of Defensive Combative Solutions here in Arizona. But he basically said that if you haven't read the Bible, then you're not fully going to be able to understand where some of the phraseology came from, where some of the text came from, some of the intention came from. And so even if you're not a Bible follower, if you want to understand your Constitution better, pick it up as a piece of literature. Pick up the Bible as a piece of literature.
Can I just
Um,
mention that we have governors like in New Jersey that said that's not their responsibility, the Constitution.
Yeah.
He didn't know what the Constitution
It's above his pay grade.
above his pay grade.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? Would you want to have, okay, you wouldn't want to have a representative that said that. You might want to have a leader that says that, for those of you who like to be led. There
Mhm.
are some people that like to be led. They don't want the responsibility to be told what, they want somebody else to tell them how to
Mhm.
do what they do. That way, if they do it wrong, guess whose fault it is?
Mhm.
The
Some-
leader's fault.
Yeah.
So
Somebody
if so representatives should understand the Constitution, leaders don't.
Absolutely. All right. So we've already agreed. We're going to pray for our nation.
Mhm.
We're going to pray for the people that have been placed in positions of responsibility over our Constitution, our Bill of Rights,
Yes, I will do that.
which actually includes all of us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
As a citizen, that actually
We
is
have a
part of your responsibility.
too. You bet we do.
And so what about there's people out there that, are in leadership positions and representatives, elected officials that we don't really like. What about them? Should we
There's
pray
other
for them?
countries they can go to. They can,
No, I'm talking
Venezuela-
about praying
I-
for them.
I
Should we
understand
pray
that-
for them?
Venezuela has openings.
That's true. But should we pray for them?
Yes.
All of them?
We should pray for everybody.
Even the ones we don't like?
Pray that they change. Oh, yeah. What? Yeah. Yeah. Those we don't like.
Especially the ones we don't like. We got to get out of here. Have a great week. Be good
Yes.
to each other.
Yes.
And God bless.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.